This is the joint meeting of the DPW Subcommittee and Town Council, Tuesday, November 9th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the Veterans Room. Call to order. First of all, from this, Councilor Marquetti is here, Councilor Dow is not here, Councilor Steves present. Citizen member Steve Lazo
Here.
present, and citizen member Kevin Spain
Here.
present. Thank you. Also in attendance, Town Manager Michael McCall, DPW Director Heather Blakely, and Town Council Chair John Daniel. Agenda item number 3, consider and approve joint DPW Town Council meeting minutes of October 26, 2021. Did you have a chance to look at them?
Second.
Anybody have any changes? Kevin?
Yeah, number 6, under this discussion part, that's not correct. It says that Heather noted that Worcester Street, Moon Street, and Snow Street had mill and overlay done with National Grid in February and March. That's not correct.
Okay.
They didn't do any mill or overlay on those.
Oh, I didn't say that.
No, you didn't say that.
You didn't, sorry.
Oh, okay. So, should I just change it to, just take that sentence out, or?
I think what I was probably talking about is that we want
In
to
the future,
coordinate
in the-
with them
in
to
the
do a mill
future.
and overlay project.
In the future,
Yeah.
all right.
Next spring.
Okay.
Set it
Yes.
further down in it, but.
Good catch.
All
I
right.
have the minutes.
Anything else? Anybody else? All right, all those in favor of accepting as amended? Unanimous, thank you. Council agenda item number 4, citizens forum. There's no citizens here. So we'll move on to agenda item number 5. Review and discuss the updated winter parking ban routes.
What if we wanted to bring something up on the citizens forum?
I'll allow it, go ahead.
What I wanna do is, through you to Heather. Heather, at our meeting on the 26th, in reference to the junior high school, you stated you had a visit with the project site manager last week, told them about the repairs of the sidewalk and street openings needed to be completed by winter. They indicated it would be done this week. As of 6:30 tonight, they are still not done. I placed a cone in that sidewalk. This is unacceptable. I mean, it is so dangerous. This is getting crazy. There's no accountability. I'd like to see something done about that. The road is horrible. That sidewalk is a 6-inch drop.
Okay.
So my next thing to you, Mr. Chair, is how do we go about, we have to do something where we come up with some sort of fining process where we fine these contractors for not following what's written in the open road. This is getting out of hand.
Well, I don't know the answer to that, so.
So let me make,
If you just want to look into it and get back to him
Yeah.
about it.
There's gotta be something we can do. I mean,
Right.
Heather stated she can go after them on, it takes 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
To me, that's unacceptable.
All right. Gus, did you have something you wanted to add? Oh, okay. So we'll just have Heather look into it and get back to us on that. All right, thank you. Agenda item number 5, review and discuss the updated winter parking ban routes for 2021-22 and entertain a motion to vote to recommend to council for approval.
Make a motion.
Second.
Doesn't look like they're gonna change that.
the only,
So,
Go ahead, Heather.
there was a change on the alternate side requirement because we did that one side of the street parking on, I'm looking for the name of the street.
By your house.
Yes.
One down bottom.
There.
Don't
Thank
forget
you.
the name of the
Gulf.
street.
Is that-
No, not Gulf, the next one.
Gulf Street.
It was
That's Gulf Street.
It's Gulf
That's the
Street.
extension of the old Gulf Street.
Matt, Gulf
Matt?
Street.
All right.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, it was Gulf Street.
Yeah. There was no parking there. I haven't seen any signs there yet, though.
I I think they wanted to dig safe, so
Okay.
there was an issue, they went permits and then they,
Thank you.
Just for the record, Matt Discharging has joined the meeting remotely. Thank you.
and I think Eric's actually on there too. ER.
Eric Rumsey has also joined the meeting remotely. Thank you. Anybody else have any discussion on this?
Nope.
No? Okay. All those in favor of recommending to council for approval? Unanimous, thank you. Agenda item number 6, review and discuss incentives to convert town-rented streetlights from high-pressure sodium, HPS, to light-emitting mode diodes, 3 LEDs. Entertain a motion to vote to recommend that council authorize the town manager to sign the application and all related documents.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a question.
Okay, first, Heather.
Go ahead. Al.
Okay, so, National Grid has a program to convert streetlights, from the sodium lights that we have now to LED lights. This isn't a program where we own them, we'll still be renting them, but there is incentives with the program, not just ongoing cost savings because of less electricity, also an incentive program that they still have. That incentive program, I've been informed, is going to probably be terminated at the end of the year, so if we want to get our application in now to have them started, we're going to lose our chance at up to $90,000 of incentive. So we had started this project with them last year, then there were some issues with the billings that we were having on the streetlight accounts, and I said until we got that more straightened out, I didn't want to upset the apple cart even more by changing over the types of lights, and they kind of understood that, but now we have kind of figured out some of the issues that we were having with the solar credits and everything, and that's been straightened out more or less. So we are ready to take up this project once again. I have had them put example street lights out. If anybody has gone up Elm Street, there are 2 LED lights. I do think they actually provide better light, and I don't think they're actually obtrusive. I was happy to see them. I didn't think they were overly bright. Those are, one is the 25 and one is the 35. I think the lower one is fine. It provides more light than the lights we're getting out there already. The spreadsheet that you have is a table of all the lights that we have that are eligible to do. I think it's a good project. Overall, I do think it's going to save us some money, and I think overall it's also going to save electrical usage, which I do think is a worthwhile effect. So.
Okay. Mr. Lazo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had called the town manager's office and talked to Yvonne about, I counted and I got all the poll numbers, probably 12 lights in some pretty good areas that should be lit. One of them being the intersection of where the bridge is, where they just had a water leak. There's a pole there, that's pretty dark in there. So Yvonne gave me a phone number to call because they said that she couldn't call or whatever. So I called the National Grid and I gave them a list. So I don't know if, because you're switching to these lights, maybe they're not fixing them,
No.
maybe they're gonna put the lights that you're talking about there?
This process will take a little bit longer, I think.
Okay.
So if you have a list that you gave Yvonne,
Yeah.
if,
No, I gave it to, I called National
Okay.
Grid, I went,
yeah, but give me the list too.
Okay.
If they haven't come and fixed them, and
They
you know
haven't.
that, give me the list. I have a special contact that I can
Okay.
reach out at National Grid and say, these were called in, I've been informed these were called in by a resident, and they haven't been taken care of. Can you please look into it? And
Okay.
he is very, he's our liaison, so I don't wanna give you, like, if
yeah, no,
we ask the
I
residents to
understand.
call first.
Yep.
It does sometimes take a couple weeks because, you know, they were just dealing with the
Yeah.
big outages out down.
Oh, Kate, yeah.
Yeah, so that diverts their normal maintenance activities away from doing streetlights and things to doing other things. So
Okay.
they might still be getting to them, but at least I can put
All right,
the
I'll
buggers
get the
here.
list, I'll drop it
Yep.
off at the DPW.
It's fine, I'll send
Thank
him an
you.
email. We do ask people to do it first because we called every single one in, but if they're not getting done.
Yeah, they're not done, so, okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. Anybody else?
I just got a quick
Gus?
Why were these particular lights selected?
Cause these are the ones that would qualify.
Oh, sorry.
This is the majority of the lights in town. So there's just some lights that probably, for whatever reason, wouldn't be able to qualify for LEDs, and that's something that National Grid has determined, not us.
Do you have a rough guesstimate of how much this will supposedly save us?
Yes, it's actually on the spreadsheet.
I can't read this.
Oh, okay. So it's $50,000 a year.
You wanna read it here? There you go.
Sorry, it's $50,000 a year. So basically what it is, and that's an annual savings for the delivery charge of savings is 62, and then they estimate it's $11,471 more for rental fees, but you're still getting a $50,000 estimated savings.
Crazy enough to go on.
That's good.
Now, I will say, just like everything else, their charges can go up.
Oh, yeah.
It's a tariff, so we could see that in the future going up. But right now, in addition to that, by doing it, there's an estimated incentive, National Grid incentive, back to us in the form of a check, which would
Yeah, you
go
want that.
in $90,000, so. It's 91, but it's estimated right now. Until we get the application in and go through all the paperwork, it's still just.
Right.
Okay, you all set,
So
Counselor?
it sometimes seems that the LEDs, they say they'll last for a long time. I think at least with the personal LEDs we've had at home, they don't last anywhere near as long as they say they're going to.
Right, and sometimes we've seen that. Some of our downtown lights have had issues. But here, again, we're not buying them.
Right.
They're still gonna have to be on, they're still gonna be on the responsible, I was gonna say on the hook, but they're still gonna be responsible for fixing them when they break.
Okay.
Which I think is better. I mean, the earlier programs, you would basically getting buyed out, and then we would have had to do the maintenance on them. And I think that some places could do that, but I think it's too onerous on us to try to take that on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You all set?
Yep.
Anybody else? Mr. Manager, did you want to add anything?
No, if we can save money, I don't think it's a bad thing in that regard. I will say in the last community I was in, National Grid, we came in and replaced a lot of these. I have LED out front of my house. You don't notice real quality, difference in quality. And while I have no evidence, empirical or otherwise, that this is the case, I would imagine that the maintenance costs to them are probably greatly reduced, short of somebody or a tree limb knocking one of those out. It's not like the old filaments or other types of lighting technology that you have to replace the bulbs on a regular basis. So, my previous experience was pretty good with the change to LED. So that's all I can know.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, then all those in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Agenda item number 7, review and discuss bids for 2021-22 winter equipment hire for snow plowing and snow removal. Entertain a motion to vote to recommend that council ratify contracts with contractors who have submitted complete bids.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Kevin Swain, seconded by Mr. Lazo. Go ahead, Heather.
Okay, so, we may see this come back multiple times, because I'm still hoping that we might get more bids and, more applications for additional people. We kind of leave it open. At this time, we do have one contractor who actually did plow for us last year, and has increased, from 3 to 4 plow trucks, so we're happy to see that. J. Boning Tree Service has submitted an application for plowing and also for snow hauling if we have to do that. We haven't received any others. I know there was 3 other contractors that also had taken out to bids packages. One of them I have spoken to, and I know that he's not going to do it because of the additional cost to put the requirement to have snow plowing listed. insurance-wise. And I think one of them, I don't know why they would have taken, they were from Virginia, so I don't really think they're viable. And I will call the first one on the list that I still have and see if they are potentially still interested. In addition, I have reached out to the one other contractor that we had last year to see if they will be putting in a bid, but I haven't heard anything, so.
Okay.
So, but at this point, I felt like, you know, unfortunately, that snow word is coming. Kevin shudders, you know, so do I. So I wanted to make sure that we got these people at least approved, and, you know, if we have more, we'll come back with a revised table.
All right. Is that it?
And if I get more before Monday, I might bring a revised table.
Okay, that's fine. Yep. Mr. Lazo?
Hilla, how did you advertise this? Did you just send them all letters to contractors that you've had before, or?
It
call
was
them?
in the paper, it's
It was
on
in
the
the
town
paper? Okay.
website, yeah, it's,
Because it's pretty sad, you know, that,
yeah,
Keep
I
going
know.
down every year.
you know, that it's like this.
Reach out.
I mean, I know fuel costs have gone up and everything, so.
Yeah, and we're still doing the same thing, we have a $1,000 bonus if you do every storm. So we're trying, and we're not alone in this. If you hear statewide, there's actually
Yeah.
been a lot of news coverage that a lot of cities and towns are having this problem, and some of the rates that they're talking about paying $300 an hour. Like, oh boy, you know.
Yeah.
It was on the nightly news,
Yeah.
local news the other night,
The other
Channel
night,
5, that you can make $200 an hour in a lot of
Yeah.
places. In other towns I know have, like, our LED signs up on the road,
Yeah.
if you wanna plow, call
Yeah, I've
this
seen
number.
that.
Yeah, maybe we should do something like that, you know, you never know.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
Well,
have
we
a
have a
problem with
sign
John
like
Bonin, I mean, I know
Yeah.
he works like a crazy and he'll be there. Thank you.
yeah.
My question though would be is
Go ahead.
the insurance thing, who sets what?
The insurance rates are recommended by our insurance carrier.
Are we competitive with all of the towns though? Cause I
We
hear,
should be, we
I
all
hear
have
a
the
lot
same.
on the streets that all these contractors are complaining what it costs for that. I mean, I pay it anyways for my business, but, I mean, for guys just to throw a couple trucks on and go
I
plowing,
know.
I mean, you gotta come up with $6,000 before you break even. That policy is expensive.
Yeah, I've had multiple town managers look into it before for me and
So
talk
it
to
is-
our
it's a
insurance,
basic
and,
thing.
yeah, it's kind of one of those things like, if we take that risk, what are we risking, so. I do think in a lot of the other, like, you know, we used to have Russo plow for us at different times, and, you know, that is not the question here, they're making more money going to plow for the state, you know.
Oh, yeah.
We can't,
That's exactly what he does.
yeah.
You can't compete with this.
Yeah, we can't compete with the state, and so many of them are tied into doing that now that, you know, I'm happy for them, but we're not gonna compete with it,
No,
so.
not even close.
And there's no way we can have our own trucks?
You don't have
We do
enough.
have our own trucks, we just don't have enough.
You don't have enough, I mean, this, when you have a major storm, I mean, those guys would be out there like 24/7 and they'd be all dead.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't keep them out there that long.
No.
You know, with the trucks we have, we really don't have a lot
No.
to do, that's why we ask.
Yeah, I mean,
Contractors.
we have definitely been fortunate in that we've adapted what we do, in that we also use Whitewater at a contract rate, so they're coming in with their guys to plow.
The school department helps out too, right?
One of the school department guys helped out last year, and we're hoping to do the same thing this year. It is open to more of them also, under limited hours. I'm going to reach, we do have one temporary snowplow driver coming back this year. I've spoken to a couple other people about putting their applications in, that's when they drive our trucks, but we are limited in the number of extra trucks we have.
Right.
We only have spaces for like 2 people, so I have to kind of be strategic, you know? So we will have a good fleet of trucks out there no matter what, but it would definitely be helpful if we knew we had
Backup.
3 or 4 more trucks on the road. I mean, we don't need 8, we need, you know, 3, 4 would be optimal.
Okay. Kevin, did you,
No, she answered it.
all right. Okay, is there anything else? All those in favor? Thank you, unanimous. Agenda item number 8, review and discuss parking permit P-0155 for 2-hour parking on Mill Street and entertain a motion to vote to recommend that council approve this permit. Motion, please.
Motion.
Okay, Heather?
This came to our last traffic commission meeting, and it really came from one of the businesses down there, but with support from all the other businesses down there, that there's some confusion on Mill Street on where they can park on the street. And with more business going on down there, I think it was a question of, can we have more striped parking? So if you're familiar with down there, down past where Green Meadows is, about in their extras, there are 3 delineated 2-hour parking spaces, so past their entrance. But there isn't any, and there isn't, and they do have a beautiful parking lot, but there isn't anything further up in the street. What, did we lose them? What was explained to me is what was happening is that a lot of people would drive down, see their entrance, see the parking, and then turn around in the middle of the street.
Thank you.
So what he was trying to do is say, well, maybe if there's more delineated spots, 2-hour parking, they would have a better, they'd pull in and actually park and do that. And I said, well, it's not really that I want to go and stripe more parking spaces. He goes, well, I'll do the striping. I don't have a problem paying for the striping. I said, okay, well, we can see how many spots you can get there. So I did lay it out in keeping 20-foot distance from Canal Street, in keeping almost 10 feet on either side of the crosswalk. Either side of the crosswalk. So that and the existing no parking that's coming out of the driveway past Mill Street, so that the trucks can keep the turn. So there is a no parking zone right now from the bridge up 110 feet. There can be 3 parking spots, another break, a parking spot, another break, and 3 more parking spots. So we thought he thought 7 spots would be good, and he'd agree to keep it painted and do the striping. And we'll have an agreement written up attached to that, so.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Plazo?
So, I'm looking at this, this was adopted,
No, it wasn't adopted, it's just a recommendation.
well, I'm talking about October 9th, 1936. Maybe you didn't have any cars back then, but, yeah, so, did you talk to the guy that owns the mill about this? Has he been informed?
I believe that,
He's gonna redo that whole building,
it was in
so he's all
agreement.
set with this? You think?
this part of the mill, I didn't talk to
No.
people over here yet.
Yeah, that one, yeah, okay. All
Well,
right.
honestly, these parking already exist. If this is really more, because you already can park there, because it doesn't say no parking, we don't have a no parking zone there.
Right.
But it's more for, I can understand people coming up from out of town don't understand that it's okay to park there, because it's kind of not clear to people. So it's not that we're really just, the only limit we're putting on it is the 2-hour limit, but that's more so that more people, that it's not people just staying there, that it's not gonna be overnight parking, that it's not gonna be,
I've never seen overnight parking there
No,
anyways.
no. It's just more to say, okay, we'll get commerce going in here, and we'll have people that are coming and actually, hopefully will get turned over. We don't, I know that enforcement of hour parking, unless people are asking for it, doesn't always happen.
Right.
Okay, and with that aside, could you put some more signage, one-way signs up, because I sit at our establishment, and I watch, because they go to the pot place over there.
Yep, and then they pull
And
out of the
they're from
driveway.
out of town, they don't realize it,
Yep.
and they're going back out the wrong way, and they're gonna get tickets. And you have signs there at the end, you have one exactly
driveway.
facing our building so they can see it. And there's one where you go into the mill, I don't know if we need bigger ones or in Spanish, I don't know. But it's something that has to be done, because they are actually constantly going out that way.
I can believe they are. Why is that section of Mill Street one way?
Because the
The lights never would work,
the
that's what
lights
happened.
wouldn't work in timing.
Before they had the lights, it was two-way. but there's no way of synchronizing, because you have a road here, road there, road there, road there,
It's a nice
and then you have, you know, the other street to Hamilton. It just doesn't work, and that's the reason.
I will look, there should be some, I don't know, we'll look into see
Yeah.
what we can do to
Something
make
more
them.
toward where the parking lot is, that,
Yeah,
you know.
because I know there's one right across the street from the parking lot.
Is there? I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
there
there's
is one
yeah, there
right
is
there.
one there, but maybe facing the parking lot?
No, that one is facing the parking
Well,
lot.
then they can't read.
That one is, it says one way, go that way, you
Yeah.
know, and maybe, I think there's two on the bridge here, right?
Yes, there is.
Well, I'll go.
I don't know, I just,
I thought I was just down there when we were
you're
doing all
right,
this,
there
and
there's
there's a
plenty of
lot of
signage
signs
down
there.
that end, but I don't know, maybe you should, contact the owner of the, parking
Point
lot
house.
there, and maybe at the end of, where they come out, put a sign
There's, right, I think there is one, but we can.
on his property?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I haven't checked, I'll look.
Yeah,
Alright,
Because I know him, and he's a nice guy, and
yeah, no, they're very.
Jim would do anything, you know, he's pretty much
okay,
open to anything. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, thank you, Heather.
alright, thank you.
I'm
Just
all
fine, you're all set. Gus, you have anything?
Yeah.
No? Anybody else? Mr. Town Manager? Okay. Alright, all those in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Agenda item number 9, review and discuss the draft stormwater management rules and regulations, and entertain a motion to vote to recommend to council for adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Splain, second by Mr. Lazo. Heather?
So this is the second part of the stormwater bylaw. The bylaw actually gives you the, the meat of what you need, and the rules and regulations are how are you gonna implement it as a town. So they are still based off of the Central Mass Stormwater Coalition's guidance from the consultant that we hire, because we're part of the coalition, on how to set them up. So we've tailored them after that and had some recommendations back and forth. They mirror the bylaw very closely. Most of the definitions that are in the bylaw are also in here. The limits that are in the bylaw are also in here. This just gives more, how much are you charging? Who is the enforcement agency? How are you going, through all of those things? What also it does is, and I know this is one of your concerns, Councilor McKetty, is what happens if this is too onerous? It allows us to potentially, we have it right now broken down into minor and major. That is so that we can get more information when we have a major permit, but if we're finding that it's not working, we can change that. It allows you to make the changes because a regulation's a little easier to change than a bylaw. So it tells you how you're going to enforce it and how you're going to do it, but it also will give us the ability that once we get into this, if we find that it's not working, we have the flexibility to come back and change it. So I think that's the good news. This isn't any, this is a working document as we get in and we see things that do work and don't work. And maybe we're getting too many permits for this and it really doesn't make a difference, so we want to change that. We'll have that ability to do that. It's set up in the major and the minor, I will say this, it's set up in a way that the minor permits are more what you're going to see for a single family home that might be doing something and needs to have a stormwater permit, because I don't know, but for whatever reason, they have to connect something to the stormwater system and they need a permit. Versus the major, where you might have a larger commercial project going on that you want to have, that needs that more in-depth study. So that's the idea and the concept between the two different options.
If you have an extra copy, I'll have a hard copy. I'm trying to use
Mr. Town Manager, is that the updated version?
Yes, it should be.
About
No, it wasn't out of the hard copy, it was out of the electronic copy. The electronic copy, when she scanned it, it was every other page. I believe yours, if you look, it goes
Thank
page
you.
1, 2, and 3.
I'll just leave these here.
It's a lot.
The version I got originally didn't have the original number.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'll be happy to go through and do highlights if you want to hear from anybody else on the committee. So I will say this, and I know a lot of it has been portrayed that it's gonna be all on me. It's not. That's part of this. It's not just one department, it's not just one person. I might be the overall enforcer, but it's not just me. You know, it is meant to be a stormwater team that is looking at this information and looking at it. So Eric's gonna be very crucial, especially because a lot of the contacts will come in through him first, whether it's planning or conservation. You know, he's gonna have a lot of input and have to be working with this bylaw too. Building is gonna have to be involved because again, if somebody's doing a project, we need to be able to evaluate whether they need to do the stormwater or not. I will also say, stormwater permit isn't just for places that are in conservation, it could be for places that are outside conservation land. It's very similar to what was being done already if you had to get if you were discharging near a wetland and had to get a permit because of wetlands. It's very much mirrored everything that happens, but it expands it so that it's not just in areas that are next to wetlands. It's in anywhere in the town. Anywhere that's outside of a jurisdictional area would still have any major project would still have to comply with the stormwater bylaws and the stormwater regulations that's similar to what is already being done for conservation. The idea is it mimics that.
Yep.
Okay? So it should help our water in our rivers and lakes and streams in the long run. That we're not just worried about ones that are within 100 feet of anything. Now we're actually worried about it on a holistic basis.
It seems to talk a lot about things discharging directly to stormwater. I can think of a house going up the street to my house where there is a pipe that's like halfway in the person's property, and they actually purposely did riprap stuff between it and the road, but it still just discharges basically straight to the road. Is that legal? Would that be covered?
It depends on what they're discharging.
Okay.
So it can be legal, right, so it can be legal. It would be something that would probably have to be investigated, and we'd have to, you know, if we knew about it, it would be investigated, and it could be a stormwater permit. So, it's not legal if there's discharging water from their washing machine out of it. It's not legal if they're discharging septic or any waste like that, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
But it could be legal if they're discharging groundwater that's coming into their basement and they have a sump pump. Okay, so that's the difference. Is it legal or is it illegal? Well, it depends on what you're discharging. You can discharge sump pumps as long as there's no contamination in them, that they're just groundwater. You can't discharge them if you also got your leaking oil tank running into them.
Is that halfway up the hill, Dustin? Is that house halfway up the hill? That's groundwater.
So,
That's several flood.
you know, it's one of those things. And we're gonna have a lot of people that have, you know, footer drains are okay. They're groundwater, you know. So there's gonna be things that are legal, but that we also might wanna know about them. So there will be some growing pains getting into it, but we have to start somewhere. We're going to find illegal things that people don't know about, and this is also a method of us being able to enforce if we find that washing machine that discharges, you know, just, you know, into somebody's system. You know, things were done, I get it, and people don't even know that they're doing anything wrong half the time, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's just a little education, right? So, part of what, you know, this is part of what we have to do for our overall MS4 program. In the future, we'll have to do more sampling and finding of those illegal and illicit connections that we don't know about, and this gives us the process of how to go about getting rid of those when we find them.
Are you all set, Counselor?
Just kind of follow up on that. Is there a process by which people are going to have a time frame to fix these things without being penalized?
60 days, right? Did you find
Within
that?
30 days after completion. There's one of them.
Yeah, there's a 60-day
I
notice
did
too.
read that last week, there was another one that said 60 days somewhere.
And there's flexibility in that because it's flexibility of us giving the order anyway. So if somebody's look, I'm really trying to comply, but it's the middle of the winter and I can't dig this pipe up. You know, it's gonna be, it's like anything else. We're gonna, especially for the single-family home that might have something that they might not have known was legal or
Sure,
illegal.
sure. And did you make the, you said that this mirrors the bylaw. Did you make the changes that I sent to you,
Yeah.
Matt, in here as well?
Yep,
Okay.
I know that some of the definitions, I know Matt checked them today. I mean, please feel free to double check them, you know. I know there was one edit Matt caught today where something was misspelled and I can't even tell you what page it was on, so.
Okay, Counselor, you set?
For the moment.
All right. Mr. Lazo?
I'll take through you to Heather, are you gonna have someone going around and checking these things, or are you gonna have to wait for someone to complain like Gus just said about that water up there? How are we gonna find out if there is some illegal stuff going on?
Well, there's gonna be reporting, but like I just said, part of the new MS4 program is we are going to actually have to start collecting physical samples, and those samples have to be sampled for things like chlorine, phosphates, oil and grease, pH, and when we find anything that's, like if we find phosphates, we find chlorine, we have to trace it back to find the source,
Right.
which is an
I
incredible
know they do smoke
task.
tests sometimes.
Yep, and
Yeah.
smoke tests and things like
Yeah.
that, but it's gonna be an incredible test to go back to find where that source, so like, the way it kind of works is you do what's called dry weather sampling, where you go and look at the outfalls and actually look to see if there's any water coming out. If it's essentially a dry weather event and there's no water coming out, then you know you don't essentially have, at that time, at least, an illicit connection.
Yeah.
If there's water coming out, then you have to do more investigation. Now, it could be groundwater, but if it's groundwater, you're gonna test it and you're not gonna find any of those things. And that is kind of how but if you find something, then you have to start doing the investigations. We're gonna find things.
Okay.
It's gonna be, it's gonna be very onerous. We're gonna do a lot of education, so it might be that we educate people and they realize they find them themselves.
They don't know what's there.
Correct. So education is still a part of this, but at least this is twofold. This is to find the existing things, but also to cover all the things going forward. So we have to get the stuff going forward and then work on the existing.
Okay, are we gonna have, like, say, they violate, they don't,
There's a
you take care of it, is there gonna be
$300 fine.
A day.
buying schedule? Like,
$300 a day.
how much?
300, up to.
I would say
I read that.
they fix it fast.
So
Thank
yes,
you.
there is fine that we can do in here, and it's a day of one until they get it fixed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Kevin, did you have anything?
Nope.
Gus, did you want to follow up?
I do actually. So I assume that you're going to do most of your testing at the sewer plant.
No,
You're not?
the sewer plant isn't getting our drain water.
Okay.
Going into the rivers.
It goes into the river.
rivers.
We have to go to every single individual outfall.
Okay.
Where it goes into the river or wherever there is a place that we can sample an outfall. So,
Okay.
yes, it's a lot of sampling.
How many of those outfalls are there? I mean, I'm assuming that some of them are like, I'm sure there are probably some going into Lebanon Brook. not
Oh
just
yeah,
the
there's,
river and-
it's every stream and tributary we have has multiple outfalls in them.
Too many.
And some of them, we don't even know where they are yet.
Oh, okay.
We have a pretty good list on our GIS of where most of them are. I don't know if Matt knows the number off the top of his head, but it's in the multiple hundreds.
I can believe that.
It's gonna be quite the task. We will be looking to have assistance of some sort, whether we're hiring somebody or, we're gonna have to start, it's out.
I think,
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
Matt.
Matt.
I think it's upwards of 1,000
Wow.
outfalls.
Okay. Ever thought of having like, trying to see if you can recruit neighborhoods to keep track of their own outfalls? I don't know if that would work.
Send out notifications. maybe?
Have volunteers from each.
I would love to get
keep
people to
track of
volunteer
them.
to come and help do some of this monitoring and stuff. you know, and look, and some, many of the other stormwater, groups for the different towns are very active with volunteers too, so it would be wonderful to get more people that we could have go out there. Some of the issues are, in a lot of these locations will be going onto private property. A lot of these locations can be actually very hazardous to get to, meaning they're on a steep slope over a river, so not all of them, some of them are very easy to get to, some of them are very, very easy to observe, so maybe even if it's just some of the ones that are easy that we have someone taking samples and monitoring on, at least it would get some of them done. And leave some of the more difficult ones for people that, you know, I wouldn't wanna put anybody in harm's way.
Right, totally.
There's some of them I don't wanna even go down to, so.
All right,
Thanks.
you all set?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Like I said before, my only complaint is that it's unfunded mandate. You're gonna have to hire a lot of people to enforce this. We're all gonna be paying more in taxes and charges and fees and rates. And that's my only complaint about it. I realize it's gonna end up being done, but the federal government should pay for it. They want us to do it, they should pay for it.
We'll call up Joe, could maybe get some money out of him.
Yeah, right. All right, it wasn't done under Joe, so.
No, no, Joe Biden, that's what I mean.
It wasn't done under him.
Uh,
All right,
I'm sorry.
anything else?
I have one more thing, but it's not on the
No,
agenda, I
no.
just wanna, I should maybe brought it up in citizens forum.
Well, hold on, we'll get
Okay.
to it.
I'll ask your
All right.
permission.
All those in favor of sending this up to council, I'll vote to send it up to
Yeah.
council. All right. Or unanimous, thank you. Go ahead,
Okay, something to do with water and sewer.
okay.
A lot of people are complaining about their water and sewer bills, and, some people have pools and some people water their lawns and their gardens. I don't know if a lot of people are privy to, you can have 2 meters, one for the outside and one for the inside. And I've been telling people on Facebook, because they're out there blasting the town, and I said, the town has a procedure where you could get 2 meters. You have to pay for a licensed, a plumber to go in and rearrange your plumbing so it just stays outside, so you don't get the sewer fee on the stuff out, they didn't know that. Is there any way of putting that out there for these people?
I think it's on
Is it?
I think, let me check to see if it's on our website.
Yeah.
It's expensive though. All right.
It's
Well,
$100.
It's not that bad.
It's
worth
$100
it.
permit fee, I believe, for the original, and there is a process in the water, it should be on the water section.
Okay.
It does take a little while for it to pay for itself, because it's only a discount off of what your sewer.
Right.
There is an abatement process for if you fill your pool, if it's over a certain size, you can get a discount for filling of the
Because a
pool.
lot of people wash their cars and, you
Yeah.
know, stuff like that, so I told them, I said, you know, call the water department, get a plumber, if they
I
put
mean,
another.
obviously, you do have to pay for the plumbing, which is costly.
Yeah, costly,
But
so if
there is
they
a
wanna do it,
process.
it's an option.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for
You're
allowing me to do that.
Did you wanna add something?
Yeah, Ella, if it is on the website, can you just add, so people understand, cause you said irrigation, I believe, that they need to have a backflow on that.
Yep.
A lot of people don't realize that, and that adds up
Yep.
quick.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And I do have 2 quick questions, I probably should ask them too.
All right, I'll allow it.
One is, did you have a chance to follow up on that town hall driveway email I sent you?
So, I did, I actually spoke to Mr. Tassi, right after you did. He had concerns about it, with the switching of the direction, especially since so many people are used to coming in that way. And also, if you put in the address for the town hall, you would already be past the entrance when you went to park. And that would cause all sorts of traffic issues and probably people coming up the wrong way. So he really wasn't in favor of it. He could see the issues with pulling out. We had a whole discussion about that and the limited site listings there. But I
All right.
think that's maybe a different question.
Okay. Just,
I don't really
you have
think it's
another
okay.
question?
The other question I had actually was related to National Grid, so I don't know if it's something you would be able to call them directly, but they responded to the fact that about maybe a month ago now, a car took out a phone pole like right next to my house. But they never actually cleaned up the spill.
That's National Grid, yeah.
Yeah, so.
I mean, if you send me the phone number, I can send it to my contact and say,
Okay,
Because you can see the grass that there, whatever came out of that transformer has killed the grass and it's leaking, it's slowly leaking down that road.
all right, thank
It's
you.
not my property, it's the neighbor's.
You get back to him on that, so.
yep,
Alright.
if you just send me the email with what the
Thank
phone
you.
number is and approximately when it happens, I can send something out to my contact and ask them to look into
All
it.
right, agenda item number
Mr.
10.
Marqueta,
adjourn.
can you do me a favor? You cut people off when they're talking, it's very, very aggravating. Can you let them finish speaking, please? You
Okay.
do it every meeting.
All right.
It's disrespectful.
Thank you. I'll try to remember that. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All those in favor? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.